We only got a minute or so.
Our minister.
I don't see her yet. I hope we gave her the right address.
I think she's in P-Town.
That would be an interesting setup there. Okay.
He said we parked down by the wires on the dike and watched the fireworks from there. It was very dark there as opposed to by the school where we were parking. Loved it. Yes, beautiful. Now that his kids,
Julie.
home child that she is, she wanted to be
There's
just
Kirsten.
well, you're like that too. Riding through. This was so many cars. Oh, there was so many cars. Did they go by our house? We are planning to Zoom with Julie in a few minutes, and a pre-Christmas visit would be excellent. I said, good, let's talk later.
The gang looks like we're getting here.
Slowly, slowly. We've got a little technical difficulty this morning, but we're working it out.
No, good morning, Julie.
Good morning. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hi.
Good morning.
There is
What?
such a specific little bit of anxiety around technology, isn't there? This is one of those parts that is all new. Hey, Molly, it's so nice to see your face.
Yes, yes. I have a new Christmas iPad, early Christmas iPad.
Oh, fantastic. That's great.
Julie has a technical glitch this morning.
Now,
Julie.
let's see here. Someone is on an iPhone, but I don't have a name. I can rename you so I know who you are. If you can unmute yourself, and let me know your name. I'll label you so people know who you are. Anyway,
That we can see who
Right.
it is.
We invited you.
I say word.
Hey,
Hi, Karen.
We invited
Matthew. I'm the
two new
iPhone.
friends.
Oh, hey Kathy,
Oh,
we
there's
invited two new friends to join us.
Oh, wonderful.
cool.
Kathy
Kathy.
Zemer.
Yeah, and Sue's coming on soon.
All
Oh,
right.
that's great. Welcome.
Yeah, I think we should probably just hold on for a few more minutes because I see, new screens popping up all the time. So let's see what I've got here. Oh, Kate, just so you know, I'm going to make you the co-host, and is that all right? So you'll be able to deal with the meeting if needs be.
Because you got to take off at some.
At about
moment.
11:15, yeah. But I will make you the
Okay.
co-host.
Oh, that's right, because you're leading Bernardston today, yes?
Only after I hear a wonderful sermon from you to inspire me. And may I quote you verbatim?
Of course, absolutely.
The snow sort of cut into my prep time.
Will you please also make me a host so I can share my screen?
Oh,
with the Zoom
yes,
stuff?
of course.
It'd be nice to have
Yes.
you as a host.
Okay. All right.
Molly, you're on the
25.
screen today. Hi, Molly.
Hi, Sandra.
We usually don't get to see your face.
Well, I have a new Christmas iPad.
Oh, early treat.
Yes.
Well, it's so wonderful to see so many people here this morning. Happy holidays. It's 3 minutes after the service start time, so I think we'll turn it over to our worship leader,
Yes.
Julie, and I'll.
Well, thank you, Dan. I would like to show you all, I am wearing my winter solstice t-shirt.
Nice. Very
With
nice.
animals in a little tree with a star on top. This is about as jolly as I get. Well, welcome all to this shared worship experience with the Northfield and the Greenfield Unitarian Universalist churches. My name is Julie Payne Britton, and I'm leading worship today. I'm very excited about this, as it is always such an honor to be with you. So I want to just begin to ask if anyone has any announcements, anything that you need the community to know or you want to lift. You can unmute yourself and just share what there is to share.
And if you're muted, you can unmute yourself by holding down the space bar on a computer or clicking on the little microphone in the lower half of your screen. If you're on a telephone, you can press *6. Otherwise, you will be muted. In fact, I'm going to mute myself right now.
I'll announce the winter solstice event that's tomorrow evening on Zoom. And I don't have any details about it, but just hopefully it's on your calendar, and you know that it's going to be a storytelling event.
Cool. So check your emails for the information about that. Any other announcements before we turn into worship?
Nelquit is forming a new anti-racism group that had its first meeting. The head of Nelquit, Juan Carlos Aguilar, is the one who's organized it. And it seems to have another number of community organizations involved. CSO, Just Roots, and other organizations seem to be involved. So I'll keep folks posted about what is happening with that group.
Thanks, Molly. That's awesome. You know, I said any more announcements before we turn into worship, and I realized as you were speaking that that's a false equation, right? Because announcements represent the work of the church in the world. They are as much part of worship as anything else. Yeah. Okay. Well, let us begin. I'm going to share my screen with you with the order of service so you can get a sense as to where we're going to be going. Let's see. Here we are. And I've just learned how to make the sound come through the computer, so hopefully the sound will be even better this time than in previous times. Oh, there we are. There's the little technical glitch. Yes. Are you seeing the order? Okay. So this is where we are going. I invite you to settle yourself in and listen to our prelude, which is Come As You Are.
Aching for heaven on earth. misfits and prophets, and you sinners and saints, oh, you're broken and needy, weird and weary and faint, all who seek to simply open their eyes, all who need to find a safe place to cry. Come as you are, come you weary, come and lay your burdens down. Come as you are, bring your hopes, bring your doubts and your scars. Come as you are, come you weary, come and lay your burdens down. Come as you are, bring your hopes, bring your doubts and your scars. Come as you are. Come as you are.
That comes from a hymnal called Hymnal for the Holy Other, which I love. Will you join me in reading the call to worship? You can mute yourself so that the sound isn't chaotic. Please read this with me. Spirit of darkness, Spirit of light, we come into this place to be still, to be moved, to open to your unfolding and our awakening. God of the rising star and the gathering dark, help us open to this small moment in between what once was and what will be. Here in this time of waiting, help us not to know. Help us sit in this fertile dark. Help us listen. Help us trust. Help us trust in you. We ask this in the name of your great mystery. Amen. And now is a moment in which we light our candles, our chalice. If you have a chalice to light, I welcome you to do so now. And together we light our candles, our internal chalice, and the chalices in the world. And we say together, we gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs, darkness and light. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning and connection, in celebration of the life we share together. Amen. Now I invite you to listen, and if you'd like to sing, you're welcome to sing along with this chant that comes out of the pagan tradition, Mother of Darkness, Father of Light.
Mother of darkness, mother of light, earth beneath us, soul in flight, songs of love and love of life, guide us to our hearts. Father of darkness, Father of light, sky above us, soul in flight, songs of joy and joy of life, guide us to our hearts. Mother of darkness, mother of light, earth beneath us, soul in flight, songs of love and love of life, guide us to our hearts. Father of darkness, Father of light, sky above us, soul in flight, songs of joy and joy of life, guide us to our hearts.
Now is a moment when we lift our our joys and our concerns, where we share with one another the things that weigh heavy on our heart or that are causing us joy. It's a time to light candles for prayers, for remembrance, for recognition, and to lean into this community, which is so beautiful and so strong, and let all of us hold one another and lift what we have to the great mystery. So I'll invite you to share any prayers for concern or joy you'd like to share, any requests for thought or good feelings or good thoughts, whatever is on your heart to share. Now is the time to do so. And if you don't feel like speaking that, you're welcome to type it into the chat. Anybody have something for us all to carry? You can just unmute yourself and speak it out. And if more than one starts talking at the same time, well, we'll work it out.
Russ Perkout is in the hospital and is going to be having open heart surgery tomorrow or Tuesday. He's in Springfield and was hoping for people to reach out. He's got his cell phone there and he's available by email, or he was kind of surprised. I guess on Friday he went just for a catheterization and they said you can't go home.
Oh my goodness. So we lift prayers for Ross, who's such a key part of our community. And we know his heart is so overflowing with love and strength. And so we lift him. May his heart be strong. May his time in the hospital be easy as possible. May all of the nurses and the doctors and the people who care for him be guided by your grace and light. Amen. And if anyone has his cell phone and you'd like to put it in the chat box so that we have it here. So if anyone wants to reach out to him, that would be a nice thing to do. Does anyone else have concerns or joys you'd like to share?
Yes, Julie, I'd like to have a candle lit with concern for a couple friends. It's the first time in all of this pandemic that people close to me have come down with COVID-19. It's like I always knew it was there, and now it's like a whole different reality when it's actually impacting people I love. They're doing okay so far, and just sending prayers to them.
You want to name them by name, or would you like us just to sort of hold them in the collective, Rob?
Yeah, just hold them in the collective.
Okay.
And then the candle of joy is that, for 36 years, myself and a bunch of other storytellers and performers have been doing a Solstice benefit concert. And we really thought we'd have to cancel this year because, nobody can gather to do a live performance anywhere. And at some point, we just realized that, it's a world where there's a lot of need for laughter, light, stories that uplift people. And even if it's not perfect, what we're doing right now, Zoom, is certainly better than nothing. And it's going to be the way that we're going to do it this year. So you're now all officially invited. Monday night, December 21st, the actual solstice at 7 p.m. You can see it streamed on Facebook. I think it's also going to be on YouTube. And I'll put my contact info in the chat if anyone would like to get a more specific link.
Yes, please.
Thank you. So we lift together all of those who are struggling with COVID. Ooh, that's a heavy lift on our hearts. And we lift all of those who are afraid of COVID. And all of those who are not afraid and maybe making unsafe choices, we hold them to. May all have ease of breath and quickness of symptoms, and may health and healing fast. And we give thanks for this technology, this amazing opportunity to gather together in new ways. How wonderful that the world keeps opening up new opportunities. What a blessing this technology and the opportunity to gather for Solstice is. And we say amen to that. Anyone else like to lift concerns or joys or requests?
Lori, are you here? Lori's been reading like crazy and that she doesn't have anything else to do. So if anybody has some books they're trying to get rid of that are uplifting and fun and stuff, Lori would probably devour them this winter because she is pretty much snowbound and COVID bound with no TV and no internet. So
Yes, thank you. So we lift boredom, right? Something to ask for prayers for help with. Being home in our homes all day, stir crazy, without a whole lot to do. We ask for shared resources and comfort. May we be engaged even in these moments where we're isolated and so much is shut down.
May I add something?
Oh, yes, of course.
Thank you. I wanted, especially for people in Northfield who know, can you hear me? People, thank you. People in Northfield who know us that David has been in the hospital and is after an operation and is now going to a facility called Encompass in, I believe, Westfield for further support and rehabilitation. He's doing well. Thank you.
What was his last name, please, Mary?
David Mantell.
Mantell, thank you. So we lift David Mantell and his healing journey. May that his time in the hospital be short and his time in the rehab be productive. May he find rest and comfort and his body and his spirit grow strong. Thank you. Amen.
And I'd like to celebrate. I think we need celebration. And today is my 7-year-old birthday for my grandson. That's Joseph.
Joseph
Bosworth.
Yes, indeed. That celebrate. We give thanks for grandchildren. We give thanks for new life and the way that the world keeps turning, and that there are signs of hope that show up in the faces of children and the optimism that carries on, no matter how dark the times may be. Blessings upon his life.
Thank you.
Any other concerns or celebrations to lift? I would like to light a candle in memory of the people who died in the Pan Am bombing, which happened 32 years ago. 270 people were killed, including 38 Syracuse University students, which is where I was a student at the time, and I lost 8 friends in that bombing. And I lift them and I remember them, as do so many others. So this is a remembrance of their short, creative, joyful lives. And this is also a lifting of the way terrorism has been with us for so long. May it end. Amen. Would anyone else like to lift one or two more prayers?
Julie?
Yeah.
I just wanted us to say a prayer for all those souls that are homeless this time of year. May they be remembered and held.
And I see Lise is waving, but you're muted, Lise.
Oh, go ahead.
I'd like to just hold Joe Biden and Kamala and all the leaders that they're pulling into leadership in our country now. Just hold them in the light and bless them on their journey with safety and health and vision and courage.
Yes, we lift Joe, we lift Kamala, and we lift this transition, this moment of change, which so many of us have been so hungry for. We give thanks that the day is dawning, that may happen, and we ask for wisdom and peace as we make these changes. We also lift the homeless people and those who are not sure whether or not they'll be able to keep their homes. May those who are living so vulnerable, no shelter, no warmth, no an end to hunger, an end to fear. And may we who have so much do all that we can to help. Amen to that. And did I hear Elise would like to say a prayer? I can't see you on my little screen. Just feel free to unmute yourself if you have something to share.
I guess that was a false alarm. Sorry.
Okay. Friends, prayer, remembrance, lifting things in this way, it might seem like a small thing, but I believe it is such a powerful thing because we know that energy is connects everything. When we lift all of this up and we put this out, it changes things. So I thank you for your heart to help hold all of these heavy burdens and also to share these beautiful lights. So now is a moment where I have a story for all ages to offer us. And I am just jockeying my little screens around. There we go. So not going to say a lot about this, but you who were here last month know that the story I chose for the reading ended up being a misappropriated Native story. And the problem with misappropriating Indigenous culture stories is that, among other things, we then don't get to hear real stories, real wisdom. Our reading today is a celebration of Solstice, and it's a creation story that comes out of the Cherokee tradition as given to us by the UUA. It's a beautiful story, so I invite you to listen in. When the earth was first made, it was very dark, and the animals were afraid. One day, Bear said, "I have seen light on the other side of the world, but the people will not share. Perhaps we could steal some for ourselves." Well, the others thought this was a splendid idea and started to discuss who should go first. "I'll go," said the fox. Fox went and stole a piece of light in his mouth, but it was so hot he burned his mouth and he dropped it. And the fox still has a black mouth to this day. Possum tried next. He wrapped the light in his tail and tried to drag it back, but it was too hot and he dropped it. That's why Possum has no fur on his tail. Crow said, "Let me try." And she went off to steal the light, but when she got close, it singed her feathers and she turned black. She was so afraid she ran away. Finally, Grandmother Spider said, "I will go." When she reached the light, she was surprised how hot it was. She thought of a plan and began to spin and spin with her silky web. Soon she had enough for a bag. She approached the light and, quick as a flash, tucked the light into her bag. When she got back, the animals were triumphant. Hooray for Grandmother Spider, they all shouted. Grandmother Spider was happy to give them the light. We should hang the light in the sky so all can be warmed by it, she said. The other animals thought that too was a good idea, but how to get it into the sky? I will go, said Vulture. He took the bag of light, put it on his head, and it was hot, but he could stand it. He flew higher and higher, and the bag got hotter and hotter. He climbed higher, and his feathers turned black. Still higher, and the feathers on the top of his head burned off. Still higher still, and his head turned red. At the last possible second, he threw the light into the sky as hard as he could, and the sun hung bright and beautiful, warming all the land. Herein ends the story. We give thanks for the wisdom that sings through that story, and we ask what we might learn from it today. In this time of darkness, when the light is in spare supply and summer feels a long way off, is there something that we are good at that not everybody else is? Sometimes we need to work together so that we can all use our gifts in ways that benefit one another. Maybe we can remember that bringing the light is a community project, something we all must take part of in our own particular way, bringing our own particular gifts. So as we go into the rest of this day, I invite you to think about what is your part in bringing light into the community. What do you have to give to this world, especially in this pandemic? How might you work with others to increase the light, the sense of belonging, the fight for justice, the reminder about love? What is your part in bringing light to the world? And I invite you to sing together our first hymn, which is In the Dark of Winter. I think it's number 55 from Singing the Living Tradition, but you will see that the words are on the screen as soon as I can get it up. Or they will be in just one moment. There we are. Okay. Yes, 55. Good.
Dark
To know the dark by Wendell Berry. To go in the light, to go in the dark with a light is to know the light. To know the dark, go dark, go without sight, and find that the dark too blooms and sings and is traveled by dark feet and dark wings. French philosopher Albert Camus once said, in the midst of winter, I discovered within myself an invincible summer. What does that mean? It's a fitting question for the winter solstice. All around the world, we celebrate this moment with festivals of light. Jewish people just wrapped up the 8 nights of Hanukkah, a holiday that says, from a little bit of light in the midst of great darkness, we are confident we can get light and more light and more light, says biblical scholar Dr. Benjamin Summer. Hindus, Jains, and Sikhs celebrate Diwali, a 5-day festival of light's triumph over darkness. Christians follow the star to the manger, where Jesus comes in the shape of a vulnerable, poor immigrant baby. Pagans celebrate the longest night with ritual and rite. And so many other peoples and so many other cultures all around the world mark this moment. There is something powerfully compelling about the fact that on the first day of winter, the earth is already turning towards summer, right? Tomorrow's day will be the shortest day, and tomorrow's night will be the longest night. What does it mean to discover an invincible summer in the midst of deep darkness? I didn't really know when I was 14 years old when I first encountered this quote, but it walked fingers up and down my spine. The idea took up lodging in my heart. At the time, I was in the midst of a truly awful 7th grade experience, although is there any other kind? And my mother was in the process of surviving a mostly lethal and rare form of cancer. This was down in Hartford, Connecticut, once home to a wonderful feminist bookstore cafe called the Reader's Feast. I wonder if any of you ever went down there. But she bought a mixed media collage there with Albert Camus' quote on it. She hung it on the wall where it stayed the rest of her life, and it hangs on my wall now. When I was writing out this sermon, I'm going to read you what I actually wrote. It hung on her wall for the rest of her life and hangs on my life now. That's a Freudian slip. That's absolutely right. For my mom, it meant remembering her strength, her stubbornness, and her grit in the midst of brutal chemotherapy and radiation. And it meant remembering that the world is full of light, even when it seems so dark. She'd stand in front of those words. She'd roll her shoulders up and back. She'd straighten her spine, and her 5'2" petite frame would seem so tall. I would try to do the same. I would try to draw strength from those words, but to be honest, I couldn't find any summer inside of me. I mean, that's a tough age in the best of circumstances, right? I didn't believe those words, but I wanted to. Where is the light now? Where is the light of an invincible summer in the face of ongoing racism and systemic oppression that continues on in spite of the summer's protests and calls for change? Where is the light of an invincible summer in the face of pandemic with more than 300,000 Americans who've already died? Where they say another 150,000 could die by February, where ICUs are at their max and families are separated, where unemployment benefits for 13 million people are set to expire. How do we find a shimmery, shiny summer light in the midst of this darkness? And how about in our personal darkness, our spiritual darkness, our emotional darkness, our physical darkness? What does an invincible summer look like for you? The problem with this whole equation is that we've been desensitized to identify darkness with bad and light with good. Just think about the ways people talk about darkness in everyday speech. That was a really dark film. The economy's not out of the dark yet. Well, she's in a dark mood. I'm sorry, I'm just in a dark place right now. He's gone over to the dark side. The only positive associations we hear with any regularity are dark chocolate, or dark beer, dark maple syrup. No one asks God for more darkness. Please, God, come to me in a dark cloud. Give me a dark vision. Put out my light so I can see what I need to see. That's what Barbara Brown Taylor, who's Episcopal priest and author of many fantastic books, including Altars in the World, which is my favorite, says. This binary association of light and good and pure and holy and dark with bad and dirty and evil and sinister and scary and sketchy, the words go on and on. This system reinforces racism and white supremacy, and our Black and Indigenous and people of color siblings pay the price. So heading into the longest night tomorrow, I want to suggest that we hold the darkness and light in a dialectic tension. I want to validate the idea that yes, there is light in the midst of darkness. Yes, the seeds of summer are planted in the middle of winter. And at the same time, I want us to pause and reclaim the dark. I want us to remember that there are gifts in the dark. Even as the earth turns towards the light once more, even as the vaccine rolls out and a new executive government stands at the ready, we are still in the dark. So let us embrace this darkness. Barbara Brown Taylor says, whenever you come up on something about God, the gospel, or the life of faith that everyone knows is true, step back from the reverential crowd whose gaze is fixed on it and look in the opposite direction. Because 9 times out of 10, there is something just as true back there, though largely ignored, because its benefits are less obvious and its truth harder to embrace. Well, that's what we're doing today. We're looking into the darkness, trying to recognize the face of God. What gifts does the dark bring, do you think? I want you to imagine a time, you can close your eyes if it's easier that way, and remember, or maybe just make up a moment where you were lying on your back, looking up at the stars, looking up at the night sky. Just put yourself there. See if you can feel the earth beneath you, the sky stretching above you. Imagine looking into that darkness. Here in the middle of this sermon, we're just taking a little moment of rest and resting in the gift of that darkness. It's such a simple thing. This summer when I was in Provincetown, when that Perseid meteor shower came through, I woke up at 4 a.m. and I walked down to the beach with my towel and I lay on the beach and I looked up at the sky and I think I saw 4 or 5 shooting stars, which was far from the, 50 a minute they were promising. And I realized long after I came back into the house, I was looking in sort of the wrong direction. I was looking into the light pollution. But that sensation of lying and looking into the dark, how marvelous that was. You can open your eyes if they're not open yet. Tomorrow night, we get to witness the great conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn at the low edge of the horizon, just after sunset. The two will be so close as to seem like one giant star. especially if we take off our glasses and squint our eyes a little bit. Some are calling it a Christmas star. Such a thing hasn't happened like this, visible to so much of the earth as will be true tomorrow, since the year 1226, 800 years ago, which was the year Francis of Assisi died. While quite literal, the gift of a dark night is no small thing. Barbara Brown Taylor, you can tell she influenced me so much this week. She says one of the benefits of being in a dark cloud, spiritual, emotional, or physical, is that you have to slow way, way down. All those things you prided yourself on outside of the dark, your speed, your agility, your smarts, your ability to suss things out at a single glance, they won't do you any good inside the cloud. You might as well crawl like a baby. At least you can't fall down when you're already on the ground. The good news is that slowness has a lot going for it. There's time to use your senses that you don't use when your eyes are working fine. There's time to wonder where you think you're going and why. There's even time for the feelings you usually outrun to catch up with you, tenderizing you in all the ways you've worked so hard to prevent. I look back on those hard years when my mom was sick, and I think it's true. Witnessing her suffering tenderized my heart in a way that made me who I am today. What is your darkness doing for you? What is the darkness of this moment doing for our world? In our darkness also shows us who we are, doesn't it? Who we really are. Our daylight survival strategies don't always work in the dark. All those external things fall away and we're humbled. And what happens then? Well, sometimes that's fertile ground for creativity, for acceptance, for self-care. Sometimes it's fertile ground for grit, for strength, for perseverance. And how else do you get grit except by finding your way in the dark? You know, in this fiercely independent world, needy is a 4-letter word, and being dependent on others, well, that seems shameful or kind of like a character flaw. I mean, think about the last time you had to ask someone for help. It's uncomfortable, right? Sometimes it's only when we're broken, though, only when we have no choice, that we let ourselves lean on others, that we let others carry us for a while. Surely that is a gift of the darkness. And sometimes it's only when we're broken, only when we have no choice, that we lean on spirit. Sometimes it is in the dark that the holy wonder can most clearly be seen. Here's the thing about darkness, Taylor says, that cloud of unknowing, it's not there to get through like a test or a fever. It's God's home. It's the place where God dwells. To be invited in is a great honor, and to stay a while, better yet. Those who come out can be hard to look at first. Where did all that brightness come from inside that dark cloud? And they may not have a lot of words to describe where they've been. But even the limping ones will tell you this: they would never have chosen it, not in a million years. But now that it's happened, they would never give it back. In his documentary, Ram Dass Going Home, which was filmed about his stroke several years ago, Ram Dass says, "I would never wish the stroke on anyone, not even my worst enemy. But I would wish the grace of the stroke on everyone." What if we don't rush past this moment, straining into the light, the warmth, the coming spring and summer? What if we just dwell inside this darkness for a while? What does it come to teach? What does it come to give? Wendell Berry says to go in the dark where the light is to know the light. To know the dark, go without sight, and find that the dark too blooms and sings and is traveled by dark feet and dark wings. Will you join me in prayer? May we be out of our depths as the deeps of the night sky contain but cannot explain holy mystery. May we be in the dark as the moon is eclipsed and held safe with all that is in the palm of God's hand. May we be lost for words as the holy word is spoken in the silence of the night, in the beauty of creation. May we hold it all, the seeds of summer, the turning earth, the soft and fertile holy darkness. The loving blessing of justice and change be upon us, Creator, Healer, Source of darkness and light. Be in us and around us, today, tonight, and all our nights and days to come. Amen. And will you join me in singing the UUA's version of O Come, Emmanuel? The words will appear on
O come, Emmanuel, and with your captive children dwell. Give comfort to all exiles here, and to the aching heart bid cheer. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come within as love to dwell. Oh, come, you splendor very bright, as joy that never yields to might. Oh, come and turn all hearts to peace, that greed and war at last shall cease. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come within as truth to dwell. Oh, come, you day spring, come and cheer our spirits by your presence
Can you feel that? Rejoice. Ah, doesn't that feel so good? Our benediction today comes from Edward Hayes. I have the words on the screen so you can read them, read along. This is a winter solstice. The dark shadow of space leans over us. We are mindful that the darkness of greed, exploitation, and hatred also lengthens its shadow over our small planet Earth. As our ancestors feared death and evil and all the dark powers of winter, we fear that the darkness of war, discrimination, and selfishness may doom us and our planet to an eternal winter. May we find hope in the lights we have kindled on this sacred night, hope in one another and in all who form the web work of peace and justice that spans the world. In the heart of every person on this earth burns the spark of luminous goodness. In no heart is there total darkness. May we who have celebrated this winter solstice by our lives and service, by our prayers and love, call forth from one another the light and the love that is hidden in every heart. Amen. And our prelude, our postlude, is the powerful, you will see in a moment, Melanie DeMore.
Hello, you family. I'm going to sing a song with you called Shine on Me. It's an amazing spiritual that anybody can sing. And in these days when the things that we're dealing with, the feeling separate and all of that, and things seem so hard, this is one of those songs that you just throw your head back, put it in your medicine kit. All you have to do is ask. And here's how it goes. Shine on me, oh shine on me. Let the light from the lighthouse shine on me, oh shine on me, yes shine on me. Let the light from the lighthouse shine on me. Lift me up, oh, lift me up. Let the light from the lighthouse lift me up, oh, lift me up, yes, lift me up. Let the light from the lighthouse lift me up, oh, hold me close, yes, hold me close. Let the light from the lighthouse hold me close. Yes, hold me close. Oh, hold me close. Let the light from the lighthouse, please, hold me close. Oh, shine on me, shine on me, yes, shine on me. Let the light from the lighthouse shine on me, oh, shine on me, yes, shine on me. Let the light from the lighthouse shine on
Friends, this ends our worship service today. I urge you to go out into the darkness and the light and to be that source of darkness and light for the world. Go now in peace. And if you'd like to stay for a little virtual coffee hour, you're more than welcome to do that too.